The following podcast contains opinions from paid professionals. The information provided in this podcast is general in nature and not advice. For free and confidential support, call 1800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
So we think episode 12 wrapping up a really memorable day of racing, it has to be said, particularly from Moonee Valley and the Cox Plate Benway, but also a big victory by El Costello in the Spring Champions Stakes at Randwick. Hello and welcome.
Great to be here once again, recapping what was one of the most remarkable Cox Plate wins we'll ever see. Margin dictates that. I think equal biggest winning margin of all time. Track record by just short of 2 seconds. Everything about it. I mean, the second horse has broken the old track record.
As did Broadsiding, who ran third.
Ridiculous. Everything about it was just historic, and that's all we asked for in a Cox Plate. Did we anticipate it? Hell no. Not that sort of margin. You know, if someone had have said Via Sistina wins, that wouldn't have surprised anybody. But to put on the display she put on, and I thought prior to the turn, Japanese horse Prognosis, which was a 10 out of 10 steer, was trucking, absolutely trucking. And then she walked past as though it was standing still, and you thought, what the hell is this? Accountability-wise, remember that time when we said Mr. B just a couple of lengths off his best, Jenny good but not as good as Via Sistina, and there was a bit of criticism. Suddenly
It's come up roses.
it has.
Yeah, Mr. Brightside I thought was still really brave running on for fourth. I think fair to say now, let's peg him as a 1,600 metre horse. Yes, he can get the trip with conditions that suit. It was a firm deck there that day. That doesn't suit him. He needs cushion in the track. We discussed that last week. But unless it is a 5 or a 6, I think we just let's keep him to a mile. Prognosis was your on-top selection. He was really good. He bounced more cleanly out of the gates than I anticipated he would, and positioned up closer to Jenny than maybe we thought he would as well. Prior to Jenny, she was nowhere near her best. No. She looked uncomfortable throughout the entire race. Declan not being able to slot in and find the fence in the first furlong, I think told the entire story, and that she wasn't going to be winning on Saturday. Yeah,
it's just lucky there was no horse to her outside, because we would have had to go into the steward's room and questioned why she continued in a straight line for so long. No, the race had it all, and people are questioning, you know, the rating and the time, but it was the absolute perfect storm. So you had Pride of Jenny out wide not being able to get across. You've had Royal Patronage taking it up. Then Jenny slid across, kept that tempo going. Then you've had Prognosis take it on. Then Via Sistina rolls in. If you were looking to win the, you know, green jersey at the Tour de France, that is the best lead-in train you're ever going to have. Plus, we were on a pretty fast deck. So all in all, that's what we get. Via Sistina bolting in by 8.
It was a remarkable victory. Let's quickly touch on the Spring Champion Stakes. So you were on the money with El Costello jumping favourite. Hen Lane as well, really brave in
I
for
feel
second.
For you.
Oh, don't you just? Ooh, could have been a really fat day, but it was still good. But it was great to see. I think they are the two that you can follow out of that race over the 2,000 metres, and possibly for El Costello over further. If he pulls up all good, he'll head to the Derby on Saturday. Swift Falcon, the gate didn't help. And Jay Ford said in the Beaten Jocks afterwards, I'm not sure he gets the 2,000. And maybe that is the case as well.
And there's a difference between getting at 2,000 and getting it where you're going to have to loop the field and make like a 700-metre run. Yeah. That was a huge ask. And that wasn't Jay's fault. That was the barrier. And that's why we said this market will most likely flip on its head, because it looked like a sticky gate for El Costello until you looked at the speed being outside. Anyway, it was it all played out. And I will say this much, Hen Lane will never get a better opportunity than that to beat El Costello, because one's worked across it, the other one has lobbed essentially its back, never spent a penny. Everything else has fallen by the wayside. They pop out at the ideal time, and they've got, 300 metres to run it down, and barely 8 into the margin. So really strong, big moment for Anthony Cummings. You kind of see, you know, he hasn't had everything go right the past few years, Anthony. You could see it meant a lot. But to Josh Parr as well, who makes the most of his limited opportunities, another absolute 10 out of 10.
That's feel like we've spoken a lot about Josh over the last couple of weeks. He rode that double on Everest Day, wins a Group 1. I mean, he had, I think, 3 rides Saturday, the same kind of number the weekend before. And I did ask him in the post-race on Saturday, it's this time of year that you do really shine and you seem to perform your best. And it's well documented that he struggles with his weight. He's quite tall. And I know that when he takes that break during the middle stages of the year, he enjoys himself, but then it's a gradual process for him to be able to ride at that lighter, which is for him only 55, 56 kilos. It's not, we're not delving into the 52s.
No.
To ride at that lighter weight, it's a really steady process and he has to be diligent and really disciplined with it. But even seeing the way that he was walking around on track on Saturday, he has kept his weight in check the right way. He looked really healthy and glowy on the weekend. I just don't have enough positive things to say about him. And he put full faith in that horse on the weekend and he was rewarded.
I'd love to get him on as a guest.
Let's do it.
At some point. Because I reckon we were maybe an El Costello away from Josh walking away from it within a couple of years, maybe even less. I just think the lack of opportunity off the back of the best ride of his life in the Golden Eagle, one that he thought would really put his name up in lights, and then the void that it left afterwards when the opportunities didn't come, maybe unfairly. I'd be really interested to see. He's always happy and smiley, but whether his love of it just dipped a bit.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. And then when the Japanese horse that came back was meant to come back.
And he didn't get to ride.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate indignity.
Yeah, it really was. So we will catch up with him. Maybe we'll even do that Thursday if El Costello is confirmed to run in the Derby. Maybe we can have a chat with him and see how he feels about possibly winning a Group 1 as a major, because that would be, really exciting for him. The invitation, not sure I saw Belclair coming,
No.
but blinkers off and was able to settle better on Saturday, and that was really the key for her. She's a fierce running mare and obviously difficult at times, but good collaboration between Tyler Schiller and Björn Baker, who also had a very good day with a double.
He did. And I think the last race was a decent discussion point too. The last or the second last, where we had that late scratching, one of the on-speed horses.
Felix Majestic.
That completely changed
Didn't it just?
the race.
Yeah. I know a star.
Saforo, he must have been just livid when he saw that, because you've gone from a hot tempo, high speed to I know a star lobs in front and gets its own way and dictates. It just completely changed complexion with that scratching. But these things happen.
Yeah, down at Flemington, down at Moonee Valley as well, was there anything that really shocked you out of the card down there? We didn't.
The winning margin. Apart
from that.
No, I think the major talking point is, quite rightly, that horse's performance and James.
Well, we're lucky enough to have him on the show this week. 100 Group 1s next to his name and a Cox Plate 3-peat. Welcome
on
the
different
man.
horses.
On different horses.
Yep.
Welcome the man of the hour, James Mcdonald, to the show. Hello, mate.
Hey, Ben. How are you?
Very well, thank you, mate. Congratulations. Remarkable achievement. And we'll go through piece by piece over the past, say, 3 weeks, because I think you mentioned in the post-race interview that this did take a little while, and maybe the nerves and the moment were having its impact. But I want to ask Em a question first.
Why,
He wasn't able to achieve it in Sydney, and that cost you a big broadcasting moment, not being able to do the interview. How filthy are you with James?
I was fine with it. I gave Richo my research that I had conducted because I wanted to make it a special moment.
Oh, so you're even making Jason's interview about you, are you? Or?
No,
Right.
he asked me about it because I'd flagged the idea of what I wanted to do for the interview if I did get to do it, mate. And he said, well, can I do it? And I said, well, fine, you do it. I've rang all these people.
Yeah.
Actually, on that, so he didn't actually tell you the words that those great blokes had to describe you. So I said to Huey, Ollie and Pumper.
The 100 Club.
The 100 Club. One word to describe you. And Ollie said driven. Huey, to begin with, said sook. And then said competitive.
Yeah.
And the Pumper said outstanding.
All fitting, I think. James, how did it feel to finally join that illustrious club? When I say finally, you've done it quicker than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a long 3 weeks and it's been topsy-turvy as well. So come Tuesday lunchtime, we didn't even think we'd have a ride on the Cox Plate after what happened. And it just shows a remarkable effort of Waller and his team, to be fair, because that mare was absolutely flying. And we thought she absolutely loved the track. And so to see her gallop around a couple of times was just devastating. And in saying that, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. I thought she might have broken down in that track gallop. So for her to can around was really good to see. But it was just amazing when the stars align, isn't it? Like I had an opportunity to do it in the Caulfield Guineas. It didn't happen. I had an opportunity to do it on another short price favourite in Fangirl. So to do it in a Cox Plate, one of our greatest races in Australia, it's pretty special.
Yeah, well, there was the Autumn Glow incident as well, just before what looked a very winnable Group 1. Lady Shenandoah, you'd actually been on prior. If Autumn Glow was never heading towards that race, you might have even been on her, probably would have been on her. So it's amazing what led us to this point. Take us through your mental state over that patch, because, the media is discussing the 100. I know you love Bruce. Bruce had about 18 packages lined up, ready to go. He had graphics coming out his wazoo.
He had party poppers.
And so tell us about that mounting pressure and how you felt.
It was definitely mounting. Don't get me wrong. I was, to be honest, I was extremely confident that it would happen when Autumn Glow was nominated, and I thought, there we go. Let's just turn up, stare it around, and there's the 100, and then look, this game's a quick leveler, isn't it? And so as soon as that happened, I thought, broadsiding's he's gonna be the one, and then probably what got me the most was on I think it was Epsom Day. There was like people in the crowd going, "Oh, you're going to get your 100," and like it was chanting. And I rode a winner on that day, and everyone was like, "Yeah, you won your 100th." And little did they know, like it's got to be a Group 1, not just a race, So
I think they put it up.
They put it on the big screen. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know. I did see that, and so obviously that started mounting a bit, and you don't realise it until it's you're in the actual bubble that there's a lot of the public was actually winning it on, so it was quite a nice feeling. But in saying that, then we're not winning on like a fangirl or a board side, and so then it starts mounting up. But I'm in such a good position where we have an opportunity probably each week to have a good chance in a big race, and so I knew it was going to happen. I just had to take a little bit of a breath and a step back from what was happening, because I couldn't say it was my best 3 weeks of riding, to be fair, and I think there'd be plenty of people out there to say that.
Do you feel that in your position in this game, but also, I mean, there's so many other countless athletes in other sports right around the world, when you are peak of your powers, you're the best of the best, you've got the pick of every ride, to achieve a milestone for you, and that one, like that's a really significant one. It almost feels like it's relief and not celebration. Is that fair? And is that fair? Because I don't see that necessarily as a fair thing. I did feel on the weekend from afar, you going, thank God that happened. I can just move on and press on for a great couple of weeks down in Melbourne.
100%. It was more relief than anything. It wasn't really a celebration, because it's been a fast 5 years ever since my disqualification. It's been like flat tack. Everything seems to be happening 100 miles an hour, and then it was like a little bit of a plateau for 3 weeks where I was overthinking things and just wasn't going right, or sick and just run down, and that might have been through lack of sleep as well. So things were building up. So it was more of a relief, and that's probably hence why I probably got a bit carried away with celebrating before the line as well. But it's more just the build up towards it, and it just all exploded. So even though it's just a number, it sounds so silly. Like, what's the difference between 99 and 100? So it's just a figure that's obviously a nice round number. But obviously I played it down as much as I could in terms of I'd love to get to 100, but yeah, it's not the end of the world. But of course it is. It's a milestone, and I'm very proud of it.
You got your sparkle back now.
And being from New Zealand, maybe the difference between 99 to 100 doesn't ram home as much for Australians and Don Bradman. You know, 99.94, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
But it just shows no one is perfect. But Via Sestina was perfect on the weekend. Tell me about the celebration, because you mouthed something and it went for a while. I reckon it went for about 80 metres. What did you say? And I don't care if you swear.
We can bleep it out. Yep.
I actually don't know exactly what I said. It's just it sounds stupid because I got asked this question by Bruce as well. But if I was having a guess, well, I think I said, Ben Way, you're in the house, son.
You're an absolute dick.
Nah, I know one thing. I normally it's something like "Let's go, baby" or something like that, or that's how it's done, or something like that. That's what I said, but I can't quite remember. It's a funny thing. You'd think you'd remember those sort of things, but I can't remember a thing.
A fitting tribute to a very talented broadcaster, and I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Wow,
James.
we've got that on tape forever. With the celebration, though, obviously you were up in your irons for a long while, and I've never seen someone stand so straight and then go past the winning post. Had you thought about that in your head, or was that just a guttural reaction as well?
Yeah, again, I think that's just the build-up of so many emotions running through. It's probably a little bit. Look, I won't. Now looking back, I say, I wish I didn't do that, sort of, because it was a fair way from the post, wasn't it? To be fair, and she's not the most elegant horse to be fluttering around on because she is spooky and that. But look, I couldn't believe it when I looked at the big screen and she was so far in front. And god damn, it was a Cox Plate, for God's sake.
Yeah,
It's pretty big deal, and so. Just so many emotions were just exploding, and God, it was a bit silly, bit carry away.
No, we loved it.
So it cost you a couple of grand. You'll be good for it, but it cost you a couple of
Mr.
grand.
Jing.
Is he going to cover it?
No.
Add it to the bill.
So I have one beef. I think you should have been fined for what it's worth. Not for any reason,
but
for safety reasons, you think.
But I think if they're going to fine you, they're not allowed to use that image to promote the sport or promote the race.
You're so right.
Going forward. You can't have it both ways, where you say, thanks, mate, you've just given us our advertisement for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Yep. You can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So either give him the fine and don't use it, which I'm fine with, or don't give him the fine and use it.
Was the fine fair enough, Ben?
The fine was a touch excessive, in my humble opinion. Yeah.
Excessive. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, it's because it's not about the fine, it's about the message. And I think you would send the same message if it was 500 or 1,000. Now, the public perception is going to be, James has got plenty, who cares? But I think the same in rugby league and Aussie rules all the time. You know, players get fined 20,000. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter that they're on a big wage. That's 20,000.
Still a lot of money.
And it's after tax.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
we're going to do our top 5 favourite salutes later in the show.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine would be, there's probably 2 that spring to mind. Very Elegant's Melbourne Cup I thought that was a special one, because the only reason it's a special one is because I've had several young kids that ride ponies, and I've been sent pictures of them like doing that.
Oh, that's cool.
Same salute. So that rings home, and that's like a and it's never, I've never done it again. I've never felt like doing that particular salute ever again. It was just such a special moment, and when kids are doing that, or their parents are sending me the photos of them at Pony Club doing it, it's pretty cool. And the other one was probably Romantic Warrior, where I pointed to him after his second Hong Kong Cup. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think I don't want to give too much away, but I think the gun still has it for the bow.
The bow.
The bow.
But also I like the come with me one.
Oh, the come with for Tommy.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was a cool one.
That's a great one.
Very antagonistic.
Yeah. Come on, keep up.
Bruce didn't like that one, remember?
I loved it.
He was quite critical.
That's what sport's about. It's competition, and there's a bit of niggling with your competitive crew, whether it be jockeys or on-field footy, whatever it is. I loved it. I absolutely adored it. Okay, well, we're on Monday, and we know that she's going to be scanned, the mare, over the next 24 hours if she does go to the Cup. But be honest, will she race on the first Tuesday in November? I know it's not your choice, but would you have her there?
Yeah, I would have her there, yeah, for sure. Obviously, it seems similarities to Very Elegant's dominant display in a Melbourne Cup. She carried 57 that year. This mare is probably, arguably, all the facts and figures, you guys that dive into that better than anyone, is that she's much better than Very Elegant's lead up run. So that suggests she's well in this race right up to her ears. You couldn't say when you got the favourite of Aidan O'Brien's, a 3-year-old carrying 54 kilos, where normally they'd carry around the 50, 51 mark over the years with cross counter and etc. And I think she's well in, and she's a weight for age performer. I think if you run through the field of this year, there's not a horse that probably is capable of winning a couple of Group 1s during a season where this mare has already done it. She's sensational. But like you guys made a mention before, like Mackay Duo, she's not in that breath, don't get me wrong, but she's going really well, and these figures that are popping up out of this Cox Plate, she's blowing the clock apart.
Yeah, she certainly has. You don't have any fear that she would regress off that run?
That is a really good question. I don't think she can't improve, that's for sure. And she probably has to come off, to be fair, because how do you replicate that sort of performance again? But she won't decrease too much, I wouldn't have thought.
She's had one run, I think, over 22 plus, but it was like start 3 in her career, and it was on a soft 6 in Europe, which is probably a heavy 8 here type thing.
Which we have learnt. From earlier this preparation, she doesn't like.
Hey,
yeah, I agree with that. She was touted as a wet tracker when she got here. She needed bottomless ground. Mate, her form she just loves it. When that track there was a good 3, close to it anyway, and she just loves it. I did say I can't flabbergast where that come from, but she's definitely well affected on that. And I don't know if you guys seen that footage of Waller posting yesterday that her bucking her brains off after, like in the paddock. Like she is in one rare bit of air.
Yeah. Well, there was when you came back, you're supposed to do an interview straight away, but clearly decided that you were going to make Jason, your
Bruce
lovely
was
wife,
holding
wait.
and holding.
And poor Bruce is having a pad for 8 minutes while you chat to Vin Cox and the Yulong team. Was the discussion as soon as you hopped off, was it, how bloody good was that? We've just won a Cox Plate. Or was it, this horse better be in that race on the Tuesday?
No, it was just how good it was. And I think it's obviously Mr. Jang and the Yulong team have obviously invested so much money. And that is the biggest win. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong here. But I think that's the most significant win. Well, you don't get much better, to be fair, in a Cox Plate. And to do it in that style, if that didn't get his blood pumping, I don't know what will. And so the Melbourne Cup wasn't even mentioned, to be fair, and neither was anything else. I think everyone was just like flabbergasted what happened.
Yeah, as they should be. Okay, we look forward to Saturday.
Can I go
sorry.
One more?
Yeah,
one
go.
More?
Yep, go for it.
I wanted to ask, were there any who the most famous person was that had reached out? So
DM,
I'm sure his phone would have lit up. So apart from Emma Friedman, who's the most famous person that would have messaged you to say congratulations?
Ben Way.
No.
I
didn't text you till this morning, so my bad.
All you said is, "Can you come on the show?"
Yeah.
That's it. Good on you, mate.
Yeah, good on you. He was hoping for a bit more praise.
My bad. Anyone that we'd be surprised?
No, there was plenty there. I've had a fair few reach out, like even Frankie Dettori, Ryan, like people I've competed against.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's kind of cool. David Warner, just a fair few.
Yeah.
Sport, a lot of sporting people, Buddy, just who obviously know. Yeah.
They know what you've been through to lead up to the milestone. That's important, isn't it? Yeah.
In terms of, we sort of treat you like an Aussie now, despite the accent, but when you look at some of the New Zealand names, like I just wanted to get your take on where you feel you will ultimately sit. Like you would have grown up just, in awe of your Richie McCaws and your Dan Carters and all those big rugby stars. And you've got, famous Olympians over the years as well, Lydia Ko in golf and a few others that have achieved greatness. I think you've had brilliant rowers and sailors over the years. Where do you think James Mcdonald will finish up?
I don't know. I would look. I've had a wonderful bloody riding career, that's for sure so far. So I don't know. That's a hard question to ask, but
have you gone past the pumper?
No. The pumper and Shane Dye, Lance O'Sullivan, those guys I adore and I admire so much. So, and you know what? I was lucky enough to compete against those guys, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's how old you are.
Oh well, I was lucky enough to compete against Jimmy Cassidy, not the other two, but Lance O'Sullivan was a hero of mine. Yeah.
All right, I want to push forward because we are not done yet. Saturday, what you got? Who's in the book of rides for Saturday?
Switzerland, I love. He's in the Coolmore, and I think he's a terrific hope. Atishu is flying, and if you talk to Chris Waller about her, he's glowing. And I'm hoping to have a really good phone call in the next hour about broadsiding running in a derby. So.
Yes, well, I just text James Cummings and said, sorry to be a pest, but... And I know he's got red receipt on his text and he hasn't read it. So he's obviously seen my name pop
up. He's in a meeting.
Is he? He's in a meeting.
Don't take that out.
Yeah, okay, so he's in a meeting. So broadsiding in a derby.
Yeah, he's sat on the fence until this point, but he does love, he loves these classics, doesn't he?
He loves tradition.
He does, and you can't help but think it would be at the pointy end of his mind. He sort of said about 60-40 to go, which is interesting. So your book there, hey, Atishu, has that horse exceeded your expectation the past couple of preps? Because I reckon Atishu's just a
She always flies under the
horse.
radar though. But how many Group 1s has she won? Like 2 or 3?
Yep.
She loves this week too.
Yeah.
She should. You know what? Take nothing away from Pride of Jenny when she won the Empire Rose that year, but Atishu come out of the pack and was dead set the only horse to make ground over the whole week that week. It was like a winning performance. She runs second. She's backed up the week later in the Champions Stakes over 2,000 metres and won. So she's going to do the exact same copy and paste this year. And if you speak to Chris, he's got a sparkle in his eye about that man.
Hey, James, 164 is a number that is important to Darren Beadman, important to the record books. And I get the impression maybe it's important to you because when you won the premiership last year in that final meeting, I was chatting to Darren and asked him to talk about you for a little while and say, how good's this guy? And you walked back and I think were a little bit rattled that Darren Beadman was talking you up as opposed to the reverse and said, Ben, how about you ask him how he managed to ride 164 in a season? And since then I thought, geez, James is off to a fast start this season. I wonder whether he thinks 164 is gettable. Have you contemplated it?
Not really, no.
Can't do it.
It's too hard. I'm still working out how he got 164. And when he won his premiership, he basically won like 130 plus every time. It was just incredible. But 164, I don't know how he's done it. Like I've started as good as I've ever started a Sydney premiership tilt before, and I'm not even near.
You're actually on track, but
you're going to go away.
That's excluding Hong Kong. That's excluding Queensland campaigns, venturing down to Melbourne. And hey, this is just on venturing down to Melbourne. Is it true that you almost contemplated staying in Sydney for Big Dance Day instead of the Cup because there just weren't enough options?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure. We've left it right up to basically now to make that decision. We had a good ride penciled in for the Big Dance, and fortunate that hopefully Via will go there, but we'll just play that by ear. But yeah, we've left it right till basically now.
Okay, if we look towards the Cup and she doesn't go there, who would you want to be on?
I think, well, you can't go past Buckaroo how he's going. He's flying, and he's just been transformed this prep, obviously, with the gelding operation. But he's under, obviously, a distance query as well. So Aidan O'Brien's 3-year-old looks pretty damn good as well. Jamboogle. But he's weighted to his best as well. So it's a pretty even cup. I think Vauban will be... I think he'll exceed good expectations. Obviously, last year he started favourite, heavily backed. I could see him just producing the goods this year.
Hey, we'll give you time to get back to the fam who we can hear in the background. But I just wanted to ask you on the kids. So since their arrival, and you talked about it being a busy 5 years, you guys have crammed plenty in away from the track.
It's been 5 years. My God.
As well. Do you think about... So I've recently had a little boy, as you're aware. Do you think about your mortality now a little bit more now that you've got kids? You know, you ride in a really dangerous sport. You've got a young family. Does it ever cross your mind when you have, say, a fall at track work or you're in a big race and something gets a little hairy?
No, not really. I think if you started thinking like that, you'd have to hang up the boots, I suppose, because you're out there doing your best. It's a blessing coming home to them, I must say. But I don't think like that, no.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, you know what? It's good to see. It's good to see you with a big smile on your face. And
well, I've just had a text message that's wiped the smile off my dial, so I'll let that break later on.
Oh no.
Is it right?
Is it a broadsiding text or a via text? It's a broadsiding text.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
So no.
right.
There we go. Breaking on So We Think.
Yeah.
Love that. That's the promo.
Yeah, this show might not last that long, but as long as it lasts, that's the promo.
All right, so they're not going to press on to a derby, but hopefully you get maybe a text message in the next day or so about the mare, and maybe that will. Nah, you've still got a smile on your face, but it's good to see.
I'm on King of Thunder for O'Shea. He was terrific the other day. So.
He was, and they've got a big opinion of him as well. So he'll be on the quick backup from Moonee Valley in the Crystal Mile.
Love it, James. Yep. Thanks very much for coming on, mate, and feel free to invite me around to that new pool whenever you like.
It's not done yet. It's still getting paved, isn't it?
Caitlin's new pool, a little project she has. Keep her busy.
It's looking good.
She does a good job keeping you in line as well. Well done, mate. And
thanks, guys.
We'll look forward to seeing you ride on Saturday. James Mcdonald, and Smile is back, which is great because there's no doubt it weighed heavily. And, to tick that off, I reckon watch out. I reckon there's the next couple of weeks and we're about to go bang.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome. But what I took from that most is the fact that he was keen on pumping you up the entire time.
And good on him. You know what? He gets cranking me at the midweeks because as you know, my trainer interviews go a little longer.
And he has to wait.
Than most. And he has to wait. He's the quickest jockey back. Like, they cross the line. He's there.
It depends. Yes, if it's a 72 on a Wednesday, he's back quickly.
Takes his time, you reckon, on a Group 1. Yeah.
No doubting that. We're going to be back Thursday for a preview of Golden Eagle Day for the 4-year-olds, which it's looking to be an epic race. You've got the French Raider in Lazat, the Japanese filly in Ascoli Pacino, Jolly Star, Southport Tycoon, Tom Kitten, Celestial Legend, Steffi Magnetica, epic edition of the race, and then Derby Day as well. And we've got a few little hints there as to what might unfold. Yeah,
we did. And the Coolmore's going to be fantastic. Empire Rose, we get to see one of New Zealand's finest, apart from James, go around as well. So, brilliant days racing. Can't wait for it all. And it just keeps building, which is remarkable given what we had on the weekend.
We just got to keep on getting ourselves up for it each and every week, which is not hard because the racing is of the highest quality. And we'll bring you all that on Thursday with another episode of So We Think.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.